Good morning, this is H coming at you with another Autodesk Inventor tutorial guide. This one is on the SolidWorks Education lesson 19 and 20. We're going to be looking at both of those in this video. So let's just jump in. So here's our part file here. This is our drawing of lesson 19. And as we look at this drawing, it should be plainly obvious what we're going to start with, okay? When we look at this object here, it is a stair step style object, different levels of extrusion, 10 millimeters, 20, 30, 40. And when we look at our different views, our top view has the most information in it. It is all the dimensions in it. It has the most visual information of all these different patterns. But again, we remember what we talked about in an earlier video, if you've watched it, that when given a stair step style part file like this, it's best to draw the top view and then extrude these different profile sections up their varying heights of extrusion. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to start with this lesson 19. I'm going to move it to the side here so I can take a look at it as I'm making it. I'm going to start my drawing on the top view of my part file. And I'm going to start with just a rectangle because that's the easiest one to start with. And it's going to be 50 by 40. Yes, it is. And there's our outer perimeter of our part, right? So we have everything completed for the outside edge. Now we need to fill in the internal lines, right? All the little profiles that are here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start in this corner here and kind of come up and then go back down. So this is made, this is the triangle profile that's here. This is we're given as a 45-degree angle. And then this dimension here, this is 10 millimeters. And this height here we're given is 20 millimeters. And there we are. There's our first profile segment that is here. Now the next line we're going to have to draw, we're going to come up from this point here, go up, kind of angle it like that, and then we're coming straight across. We'll just make sure that's the case. Yes, it is. We're coming straight across to this line here. Now we'll dimension this here as well. Well, from here to here, we know this is going to be 10. And we know that from this point to the bottom, this is 20. Make sure this is 10 as well. Okay, good. And then it's 30 from this point to here. This is 30. Oh, and there it is. We're fully constrained and we're good. I don't like the way this looks. I'm going to delete that dimension actually and just kind of redimension this line to this line here and make that 10 there. That looks a bit cleaner, a bit easier to see. So we have our form almost done. We need to do one more line right here. So from this point here to this line here, we're drawing that in. And then we're just dimensioning to make sure that there's 10 millimeters here, which there is, and there's 10 millimeters here, which it now is. So once we have all these profiles made, we made the rectangle profile first, then we started dividing it up with these lines in order to make it finished, right? To make all the different components that we're going to be extruding different heights. So if I finish the sketch here, I'm ready to extrude. I'm ready to extrude this height, this triangle here is 10. So I make sure it's 10, hit the plus sign. This shape here, this is 20. It's done, hit the plus sign. Now there's one that's hiding behind here. Let's turn it around. This one here is 30. And I'll hit the plus sign. And then this last one here, this is 40. And I'll hit enter. And that gives us the finished lesson 19, just like that. So we're able to break it down into its different profiles and extrude it up. So hopefully we're getting an understanding of that as we move forward into these different part files. So here is the next one. We're just going to move right along to lesson 20. So lesson 20 is almost the same idea. If we look at it from the isometric view here, we can see that we have a major extrusion here of 20 millimeters, which forms the base. And then we have these small little walls that are here. And we have these ramps here, which means we can chamfer this like right at the end as kind of a last step that we're going to make when we make this part. So we can draw this top view again because we're going to get the circle in there already drawn. This fillet's going to be already done. And with that already done, it's going to remove a lot of extra steps at the end, right? Because we can't see those things from the front view or the right side view. So we can see that circle and those curves from the top. So that's where we're going to begin. That visual information is going to be key. So let's move the drawing over to my other monitor here, and we'll get started on this lesson 20. So we'll start with our millimeter part file, going to our top view to start our sketch. And we're going to start at 0, 0 to be the circle. Right here, this 0 point is going to be the circle with a diameter of 20. All right, let's zoom in. We got a lot to work with there. And then we're going to draw a rectangle, but in this instance, we're going to use the 2-point center rectangle. And again, make it at this center point and expand out. Now so our height of this is going to be 40. And this other horizontal distance is going to be 40 as well. And what this does is allows us to have that circle centered on the entire part file. And again, this makes the most sense as far as like having this object, and we'll fill it this corner and we'll draw in the extra things we need to draw in. So let me fill it this corner now. This corner is a radius of 20, and then I'll click on my 2 lines, and it's going to fill it that corner right off just like that. Now I need to add the other components of this, of what's being extruded kind of upwards. So I'm going to go back to my line tool, and I'm going to draw in what's needed. So we're going to need a line basically all the way down to the bottom like this. And this line is 10 millimeters from the edge. So just like that. And then we're going to need to divide this in half right here. So we have 2 rectangles that are there, and we're going to extrude both. Like this rectangle is going to be extruded up further than this one here. And now we need this side here. So here we're going to have a line that comes down 10 millimeters here and then connects to this line here, just making a square, a 10 millimeter square right there. And then we need the same thing here in the corner. So we have 10 millimeters, and then it goes to this corner here. We'll just dimension this line. That's the horizontal line, 10 millimeters as well. That way we're good. So this is what our sketch looks like for the top view. We have a rectangle, a square and a square, the circle. We have everything we need. Now we get to extrude this up. And so this is where it's going to be kind of interesting. We're going to extrude everything, all these profiles, and we're going to extrude a 20, but we're going to reverse it. We're going to make the bottom of the part first, and then these rectangles and the squares are going to get extruded, and they're going to be added to the top of the part. So we'll add that. Now we need to extrude this here. This gets extruded an additional 20. So I'm going to create that. This gets extruded 10. And I'm going to create that. This one gets extruded 20. Plus sign. This one gets extruded 10. And we're nearly done. So now we're looking at those chamfers, those cuts that were made before, right? We talked about adding those last. So this edge here gets chamfered the distance of 10. So does this one. And so does this one, right? So we can make sure we chamfer all those edges, those 3 edges right now, and hit enter. And that's it. That is the completed lesson 20 Again, drawing it from the top view, extruding downwards for the base, extruding upwards for those blocks and those squares and those rectangles that are there. And then, of course, finishing it off with a chamfer to make sure we add those chamfered edges, those ramps that are part of it. But again, we needed to extrude all the way up 20 in order to get the material there in order to chamfer it. So that's why we have to extrude it above the chamfer to make sure we are able to chamfer that material away. All right. I hope you all have a great day and thanks for watching.